Hey there, everybody, and welcome back to Utility Sports. Today, we're going to be talking some more NBA trade rumors, this time specifically centered on Kristaps Porzingis, what his trade value is around the league, and if the Dallas Mavericks are actually going to trade him. For those of you who do not know, I am a Dallas Mavericks fan, so I do have quite a vested interest in this topic. I really like Kristaps Porzingis. I like what he brings to the Dallas Mavericks, and I have a pretty strong opinion about what is going on here with this report that came out from Jake Fisher here. Who works for Bleacher Report. And honestly, before we jump into today's video, I just want to remind you guys to hit that subscribe button if you are new here. We post a lot of different Mavericks content. We also post a whole bunch of NBA content, NBA draft, NBA offseason, NBA trade rumors, a whole bunch of stuff like that. Also some NFL and MLB content if those are things you guys are interested in. Now, let's jump into Kristaps Porzingis and what it really looks like for the Dallas Mavericks here. And there's no better place to start than with the Mavericks season, talking about the 25-year-old Kristaps Porzingis. The Mavericks right now are 14-15. That sits ninth in the Western Conference. There's been a lot of talks about how Luka Doncic should be out of the MVP debate, and yet we see Nikola Jokic in the MVP debate, despite the two of them having very similar numbers and the Nuggets only having 2 more wins and sitting 7th in the West. There's a little bit of a disconnect there for me. I think that people are hoping to see the Mavericks fail in a lot of ways, actually, this year. And to be honest, I don't think we're going to. I think we will make the playoffs. We started out so terribly, and a big part of that was we were missing 5 players with COVID-19 protocol, health and safety protocol. Teams don't really withstand that well when you're losing 5 key players out of your rotation. For the Mavericks, it was 3 key starters as well. Also, we have 2 of our players on the front court, both Porzingis and Dwight Powell, coming back from serious injuries. So you're seeing a team that's, going to take a little bit longer to get out of the gates, and that's what we've seen this year. But at this point now, Porzingis, coming off of a meniscus tear, is averaging 20.5 points per game. He's averaging over 8 rebounds a night, over an assist a game, over 1.5 blocks a game. He's shooting 35% from 3, north of 47% from the field, and 85% from the line. Now, you tell me any other 7-footer in the league that's giving you those numbers consistently, and you're going to be mentioning guys like Jokic, Embiid, and then that's when the list really falls off, maybe Karl Anthony Towns as well. That is an exclusive group there. Kristaps Porzingis, when he is healthy, is a top 20 player in the world. He's putting up these numbers coming off of a meniscus tear with a really thin frame. He's a guy who is pretty fragile. I'm not going to lie to you and lie about that. Yes, he is a little injury prone at this point. However, when he's healthy, he's a top 20 player in the world. The numbers indicate that. His impact on the floor indicates that. The eye test indicates that. You cannot pass that up when you're looking at Kristaps Porzingis' game. And now, part of the Mavs' woes this year has been the struggle for shooting. Earlier in the year, we ranked 30th in the NBA from 3. Tim Hardaway Jr.'s numbers have went up a little bit. Luka Doncic is shooting a career-high percentage from 3 at this point. We are climbing out of that 30th ranking a little bit, but it is still a problem at this point. We just don't have a huge, consistent floor spacer on the floor, especially with Kristaps Porzingis only playing in about 17 of our 29 games. Now, at this point, he's missed a few games for rest, missed a few games for some other things as well. Also, rebounding has been a big issue for us. I believe we ranked 29th in rebounding at this point, and Kristaps Porzingis' absence really hurts us there as well. There's been games where Willie Cauley-Stein gets 1 or 2 rebounds, Dwight Powell gets 1 or 2 rebounds, Maxi Kleber grabs a couple. That just doesn't get it done. Luka Doncic is our leading rebounder this year, and the only other guy that really competes with him for the rebound numbers is Kristaps Porzingis. So 2 of our biggest issues are shooting and rebounding, and yet you're looking at trading away our best big man rebounder and our best shooting big. That doesn't really make any sense to me. And also, another woe we have is rim protection. Kristaps Porzingis is far and away our best rim protector, averaging over 1.5 blocks per game. I don't believe anyone else on the team even averages 1 block per game. There is no way that Kristaps Porzingis is going to get dealt at this point this season. I just do not see that really being the case, and there's a few other reasons as to why as well. 1, we're building around Luka Doncic and his fit on the roster. Kristaps Porzingis is a perfect fit from an X's and O's standpoint about what he brings next to Luka Doncic. He brings you a rim protector, a rebounder, someone who can function as a roll guy and as a pop guy in the pick and roll. That is something that is very rare throughout the NBA. Like I mentioned earlier, the rare guys that can do it are Karl Anthony Towns, Nikola Jokic to some degree, and Joel Embiid to some degree. Kristaps Porzingis is in that group with those guys as a rare roll man, a rare guy who can pop out, hit from deep. I mean, this guy can shoot it from the logo. That's the type of range we were talking about here with Kristaps Porzingis. And Luka Doncic and him are friends. We had seen them talking when Porzingis was still a Knick on the sideline after their game in New York one day. And that relationship hasn't changed. Porzingis and Luka Doncic are good friends. The fact that they're European, both, they kind of understand each other. One being Latvian, the other being Slovenian. They have a relationship there. The Mavericks aren't going to be hasty here in making a decision about Kristaps Porzingis. And Mark Cuban actually came out with some comments today about the whole situation around Porzingis and said that this is a fake article, that there's nothing of substance to this. And I had believed that even before he came out and said that. Obviously, I don't take a whole bunch of stock into what his actual statement is. There's been plenty of times where GMs, owners, executives go out and say, there's no way we'll trade a guy. There's no way we'll trade a guy. And then they end up moving on from him when that right offer does come along. But I think that it is a little beneficial as a substantive point, in addition to what my thoughts are on the Mavericks situation, what they look like on the floor when Kristaps plays, when Kristaps doesn't play. Yes, they got a win over the Memphis Grizzlies last night with Porzingis out of the lineup. However, this team is much better when Kristaps Porzingis is on the floor, healthy, and playing next to Luka Doncic. And a final point onto why they are not going to move Kristaps Porzingis is there's no reason to right now. His value isn't higher than it's ever been. In fact, it's probably at a low point despite his quality numbers this year yet because of his injury concerns. And the Mavericks have the 2021 offseason ahead of them, in which we're going to have max salary cap space. There's no reason to rush into a deal right now to move on from a 25-year-old who has superstar potential. Everyone was willing to say that in New York when he was an all-star averaging 23. So for some reason out west when he's averaging 21 points a game, everyone's jumping off the bandwagon there. I don't understand that, especially when he's coming off a serious injury again in the meniscus tear. And it's kind of a freak injury, to be honest, in some ways. The Mavericks have max cap space. They're going to be able to go out, address this roster. A guy who could be on the to monitor for the Dallas Mavericks that nobody is talking about yet at this point is Kawhi Leonard. I know it's very likely he stays in Los Angeles. I think that the Clippers are the lead favorite to retain him at this point. However, his last offseason that he was a free agent, before going to the Clippers, he did interview and meet with the Dallas Mavericks staff to discuss a contract. Nothing actually really materialized there. But remember, that was before Luka Doncic seriously broke out as an all-star starter type player and an MVP candidate. That was before the Mavericks knew what Kristaps Porzingis looked like on the floor. A lot has changed since then. And remember, Luka Doncic is going to be pulling guys away from other teams to come play with him with his ability as a passer. Guys are going to be motivated to come play with him. Now, do I think Kawhi Leonard is going to be a Maverick? No, but I think the Mavericks are going to be in that discussion for Kawhi Leonard this offseason. I also think that there's guys to watch like Spencer Dinwiddie. For example, I think Andre Drummond, once his contract's up, is going to be an option as well. The Mavericks have a lot of flexibility this offseason is really what I'm getting at to improve this roster around both Luka and Kristaps Porzingis. And there's no reason to move on from Porzingis yet until you can see what you can get this offseason. The Mavericks have Porzingis under contract for 4 more years at this point, and there's no real reason to rush through this decision because ultimately you can go through this offseason, add in some talent, and then maybe readdress the situation. If you can't find a quality center who's going to give you that rebounding rim protection asset, maybe you have to use Porzingis later on to retool this team. However, they're not going to give up one of their best assets at this point with so much questions in the future moving forward about what they're going to be able to bring in free agency, what the draft situation is going to look like. They don't have their first round pick this year. And they have to really figure out where they're going to want to go with Luka Doncic. But Luka is 21 years old. He's going to turn 22 this month. Kristaps Porzingis is 25. If you are in the camp that you think you need to move on from these guys, one of these guys at this point, that is ridiculous. That is absolutely ridiculous. I'm going to tell you right now, Shaquille O'Neal and Kobe Bryant didn't win their first year together in Los Angeles or their second year. Do you think it would have been smart for the Los Angeles Lakers to move on from either of those two that quickly? Now, I'm not saying Porzingis and Luka are Kobe and Shaq. I'm not saying that at all, but I'm saying you need to have some patience in the NBA. Not everything clicks right away. No one's saying the Nuggets should move on from Jokic and Jamal Murray, especially with some of their struggles this year, and I don't think that they should either. So why are we saying that about Kristaps Porzingis and Luka Doncic, especially when Luka Doncic is a top 5 player in the world and a healthy Porzingis is a top 20 player in the world? There is no reason for the Mavericks to be moving on from Kristaps Porzingis yet at this point. It just doesn't make sense with where his trade value really is. It's at probably an all-time low since his rookie year. I think that his fit with Luka makes a lot of sense. I think that Rick Carlisle's got to be on the hot seat a little bit when it comes to how he's utilizing Kristaps Porzingis. I think some flare screens, some back screens, some down picks could get Porzingis in better situations to score the ball at a higher rate. However, Carlisle's still figuring that out. He hasn't had Porzingis even for 82 games yet at this point. He's got to figure some of that stuff out. Kristaps has some things to figure out. He's got to get healthy first and foremost. That is of the utmost importance to the Dallas Mavericks. I hope you guys did enjoy the video. Let me know in the comments below if you think Kristaps Porzingis will or will not get traded this season. For me, it's a hard no. He will not. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, smash that like button, and we'll catch you in the very next video.